Welcome to everyone. I'm Shauna Lawson, the Assistant Director for Alumni Relations and Annual Giving at UW Tacoma. It's my pleasure to welcome you. Thank you for joining us for our virtual alumni speaker series. We ask that you remain muted during the interview portion, and after the interview, if there's time, we will take questions via the chat. If you experience any technical difficulties, please note it in the chat and we will assist. I will start with the Share the Land acknowledgement. We recognize that all of us at UW Tacoma learn, live, and work on or near the ancestral homeland of the Coast Salish people. In particular, we are situated on the traditional territory of the Puyallup. As people on this occupied territory, we have a responsibility to acknowledge the land, the ancestors who have cared for this land since time immemorial, and all our indigenous connections today. We also have the responsibility to acknowledge the histories of dispossession and forced removal that have allowed for the growth and survival of this institution. In light of this history, let us take active efforts to partner with our indigenous community members and neighbors as we continue our work together as a community of learners, leaders, and educators. I'll now turn this over to our interviewer, Stephen Simmons, our student from Social Work and Criminal Justice. He's also the Social Work and Criminal Justice Senator with the Associated Students of the University of Washington, Tacoma. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. And our alumni speaker is Jonathan Teeter. Jonathan is a U.S. Army veteran and first-generation graduate who earned his Bachelor of Arts degree in criminal justice and a minor in law and policy in 2015. Originally from sunny California, Jonathan came to Washington in 2007 when he joined the Army doing a tour in Iraq in 2009. He attended Tacoma Community College before transferring to UW Tacoma. During his time at UWT, he volunteered at the Raymond Hall Juvenile Detention Center. He also worked in other positions in the criminal justice field, from a lawyer's assistant, corrections officer, correction officer to positions in the Department of Homeland Security. He has a passion for photography and videography and hopes one day to film a documentary about the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls in Washington State. Currently, he is taking time to explore entrepreneurial opportunities in the Puget Sound, and during his free time, he volunteers with the United Indians of All Tribes Foundation as a videographer. So, Jonathan, welcome. And if you could start maybe just by telling us about your entrepreneurial pursuit.
So I'm trying to kind of break into filmmaking, and part of that is getting out there and filming. So I'm volunteering with the United Indians of All Tribes Foundation up in Seattle. And yeah, it's been fun so far, and hopefully it continues to be fun. And you know, I want to pursue filmmaking, so this is a step towards that.
How and why did you decide to get involved with entrepreneurship?
Well, the pandemic kind of helped me out in a sense where at my position prior to pursuing filmmaking, it wasn't that I didn't like it or anything. It just kind of felt stuck there, and so I wanted to do something that I've been wanting to do since I was a adolescent. So I decided to take the time during the pandemic to pursue it, and it's been working out so far. And hopefully, when I get back up to Washington, I could pursue it some more.
So, thinking back, when you were looking at opportunities for transfer, why did you choose the University of Washington Tacoma?
I felt that UW Tacoma was, I didn't want to go to a large university, like on a main campus like UW Seattle or anything. I wanted to go to somewhere kind of small and you could have more of an engagement with the students in your class and also the professors. And I think UW Tacoma was a good choice. And my wife, she graduated from UW Tacoma. And so she, and I was always around UW Tacoma when she was a student. So kind of knew the atmosphere and, what I liked and disliked about it. So, but I chose it because I wanted to have that small classroom feel.
So this is interesting. I was just thinking about, graduating with a degree in CJ and law and policy, and then sort of transitioning like into filmmaking. And so I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about what that's like to sort of transition your career into something that isn't necessarily underneath the umbrella of your degree, and then also like how you apply what you've learned in your degree like into this new field.
The transition, I mean, I guess like the major factor of transitioning from one career field into a completely different career field is the compensation as far as what you were making or not making at that point. And it for me, it was an easy choice. I knew that there's some things that I would miss from my last position with King County, like the benefit, like some of the benefits that they're really good with the county. And then, pursuing filmmaking, I wasn't going to have the same benefits. So I would have to rely on either paying for my own benefits or asking my lovely wife to pay for my benefits. And so I think doing that, it kind of helped me kind of decide like, I can't spend as much as I did before. So it kind of helped me in that sense. And what was the second part of your question?
I guess so what like from your education kind of transfers into this, like, this new career into filmmaking, that doesn't seem like it's a one-on-one, so.
Right, it's not. So when I was a student at UW Tacoma, I actually took a creative writing class with Professor Kula, and I had the most fun in that class, like just writing and coming up, like using those creative juices that everybody has, and just putting it all on paper, and getting feedback from students and also the professor. And so it was fun. So I would say like my education background relates to it in the sense that I took those classes at UW Tacoma, and I took classes prior to that at some community colleges around the Puget Sound area and also in California. But it's not, the education does not necessarily go hand in hand together.
So what was sort of your most significant learning experience while you were at UW Tacoma?
My most significant learning experience at UW. I would say like the small classroom sizes really help engagement for me within the classroom, and also getting to learn or getting to know student, like my peers, and just the approachability that you could have with the professors in such a small classroom size. Like I think that really was significant for me because I like learning, I like talking to get different opinions about different things, and UW Tacoma really helped.
Thinking back, like who are some of the professors and mentors or like other people on campus that really added to your student experience?
Um, I really had a really good relationship. I don't know if I'm sure you probably don't know him, but Cedric, he was one of the deans there, and or he I forgot his position title, but Cedric, he was a really good mentor for me. He always had my best interests, and whenever he had an open door policy, I would be able to go talk to him. Another professor who made a big impact on me was Professor Cohen with CJ. He what I liked about him is that he was very blunt and straightforward with a lot of the situations that would arise in the class, or the topics or the discussions and stuff like that. And I liked his teaching style. And then the last professor that had an impact on me was Patricia Davidson. She was part of the glass blowing program there when I was a student, and she just opened a whole nother world of creative outlet for me. So it was I really appreciate her.
Sorry, I had to plug in my charger. That's cool. Yeah. Just a side note, Dr. Cohen has been an interim dean at the school, while we were hiring this new dean, and he's great. I've done a lot of work with him. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's say, like, if you could go back in time and change something, is there something you would do differently? Like, is there a class that you didn't take that you think you might have wanted to, or maybe paid more attention in a class?
I think I chose the classes that I wanted to take. There wasn't necessarily any particular class that I felt that I wasn't able to take. I think as far as pursuing criminal justice and law and policy, UW Tacoma offered the bulk of the classes that I think helped me get pushed into the criminal justice field. And I guess to answer your question, if I probably would have paid more attention to, I took a terrorism class with a professor. I don't remember her name, but she was an ex-FBI agent, and probably should have paid a little bit more attention in that class. It was a great class, and I don't know, I had too many friends in that class.
So you kind of touched on this just with classes like being good to translate into your career, but can you talk a little bit more about how your experience at UW Tacoma influenced your career pursuits after graduation?
Well, initially I went into the criminal justice field wanting to not necessarily be in social work, but help teenagers. And so I initially took a juvenile justice class with Dr. Mathis, and the class was great. But fast forward after graduation, I think that having that interest with trying to help teenagers and try to be a mentor to teenagers kind of pushed me into juvenile justice. And so I worked in juvenile justice. I started at Raymond Hall, and then after Raymond Hall, I went to go work. Maybe a couple years after that, I had some interim jobs, and then I went to go work in King County as a juvenile detention officer. So it pushed me in the right direction into what I wanted to do at the time.
What surprised you most about your area of work?
Oh, I think a lot of people talk about the thin blue line, or the big thing within the last couple of years, Blue Lives Matter and stuff like that. I think the surprise from that aspect is that for some people it's like that. For most people, it's not. Like you see all this stuff on TV, cops backing cops, or anybody in law enforcement is going to back their people. But when you're there living it, as I was, you do and then you don't. It like they do and they don't. It just depends on who you are and if they like you, basically.
What would you say to students, and I think you have good experience for this, about who are nervous about pursuing work that isn't specific in their field of study?
I would say do what your heart desires. If it's helping people, go into some type of field where you can help people. If it's something scientific, go into something that's scientific related. And for people, for me, it was more of a stepping stone to get to where I wanted to be within the criminal justice field. So I initially started working as security, or working. I was working at TSA. Like, it was a stepping stone for me to progress to the level all the way where I wanted to get at the time, before pursuing filmmaking. Yeah. So I would say take anything that will get you experience in any field to get to the field of work you want to do, because that experience helps you.
Definitely. So if you were to compare, I guess we'll go with your CO work environment to a TV show, what would that be like?
Oh, geez, there's so many shows. uh, I would say it's like a mix, like between, and it's a horrible example. Orange is the New Black, like a mix with that, like the relationship that the rapport, not necessarily a relationship, but the rapport that you build with the inmates, and also like The Office, like the relationship that you have with your coworkers. So it's kind of a mix between those two worlds, where you could have fun and joke with everybody, and then when it comes down to business, like it's strictly business at that point.
I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize, like, how there is a lot of comedy, a lot of laughter in those places, with all the other awful things.
Yeah, there really is. People talk about, and not necessarily like I'm saying this as it was true, but there's a lot of gallows humor, right?
Yeah.
You take it with either you take it with a grain of salt, or you find something funny about it, and that's how you deal with the stress of the job, I would say.
Like what kind of things in your day-to-day job would come up that just like you weren't expecting going in?
Working in a jail as a corrections officer, there's a level of expectations that are going to happen no matter what. And then the things that were unexpected was the reactions that you would get from inmates. And, for example, you would have fights. Fights were common, but it wasn't like an everyday thing. You would have overdoses within the jail. You would have sexual assaults in the jail. And those were the kind of things that you're like kind of surprised about happening every day, or not every day, but every now and again. But for the most part, it was just, you show up on time, you do your, security checks, you talk to the inmates, you build rapport with the inmates, and then you basically go about your business, because the inmates don't want anything to do with you unless the officer themselves decide to like pursue conversations with them, and then they'll pick your brain with certain things. So I would say that expectations were, I went in expectations always high, like I expect this to happen, this to happen. Then if it doesn't, like you kind of roll with the punches.
So, it's 2021 and it seems like it's never going to end. How has COVID-19 impacted your daily life?
I think much like anybody else's daily lives, I want to see my family. I want to see my extended family. I want to see my friends. But unfortunately, we can't meet in such large groups. And I think what we did, and like what we're doing now, is we did virtual meetings with our friends and family when the pandemic first started. And as things started opening up more, later in the year and earlier in this year, we started seeing more family members, and but as far as my day-to-day life, I just was able to spend more time with my son, which was fun. He was home, and we enjoy our time together. So
it's like, what are you doing, or like, what have you done to sort of like protect your mental health during the pandemic, or or even you have a child, and so this is a whole new world of trying to raise a child and make sure that they're socially healthy. Like how, like what have y'all sort of come up with?
So a lot of trips to the park, the zoo, Point Defiance. We go to Point Defiance a lot. We go on family vacations, just the three of us. Like last year in July, COVID was still a thing and things were closed, but they had opened up camping. So we went camping last year down in Vancouver, Washington. And it's been, for me personally, as far as the mental health challenge of it, I just haven't really felt affected that in that sense. Like our social lives have changed drastically, and but we found ways to cope with each other and help each other out within the household. And like I said, with my son, it's been fun, because he doesn't know what's going on really. He just knows that he has to wear a mask every now and again when we go to the store. So, but that's it.
I guess we'll get to the last question here from the list that I have. Just so, like, what's a piece of advice that you would give to current students?
So somebody told me, and I think it's a really good way to think about your career, your financial situation, your daily lives, your personal lives with your family members and friends. Somebody told me that it's all about progress. Progression in your personal life, progression in your financial life, and progress in your career. If you're making progress within those three things, I think you're doing pretty good. So to all the students watching and not watching, or who will watch eventually, just make progress within yourselves, within your careers and your financial situation, and I think you guys are going to do fine.
Thank you. So now we're gonna do a little Q&A. You know, if anybody wants to unmute or put some questions into the chat, we're open.
Mr. Simmons, I'd like to go.
Oh, please.
My name is Thomas Goldjam. I'm the director of the Veterans Incubator for Better Entrepreneurship here at the University of Washington, UWT here. And thank you for your service, Jonathan.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I know a lot about you. Although we haven't met until now, but I know a lot about you.
I thank you for your service. I really appreciate you. So my question is to you. Maybe there's two parts question here. First question is that for me personally, I believe that the veterans bring more value than to the campus because we as a veteran, I myself as a veteran, 20 years in the Air Force, because we've experienced life. You know, we probably set foot on a minimum of 3 countries, couple continents, been to places that we don't want to go or want to ever go back, drank warm water in the desert and ate terrible food and all that kind of stuff. So, and I thank you for your comments about momentum creating opportunities. And I believe in that. I believe that momentum creates opportunity. And as you mature, it's not about transactional now, it's about transformational life, right?
Right.
So when you've been in the service and coming to UW, did you feel that the military trained you, prepared you enough about life and about what you need to do to become a successful college student? That's the first question. The second question is that you mentioned earlier that your entrepreneurial endeavors about filmmaking. When was that point in your life that you decided, this is it, I'm not working for the man anymore. I'm gonna risk it. I'm gonna make it happen, whether I go broke or whatever, because I've been there a few times. And so can you explain those two questions that I asked in any order that you want? I'd love to hear that.
Okay, so to answer your first question, how the military prepared me for life outside of the military and also as a student at UW, is I think prior to, the old adage is saying after the military, after you get out of the, you're a man now, you become a man. The military makes you into a man. And in my case, it really did, because when I was living in California, I didn't have goals that I wanted to physically put in action, as far as, you know, not so much survival, but just, you know, being an adult. And so I joined when I was 23, and then I got off active duty when I was 28, and then 30 when I got off of inactive duty with the Ready Reserves, right? And so I think the military prepared me in a sense where I became more disciplined within myself and within my studies at the time to actually pursue not only my degree, but a minor, and then you know, the other things that I wanted to do at the time. And so I think the military really played a role, because I did deploy, you know, boots on ground in Iraq, and it really taught me a lot about life. And, you know, it's so precious. You know, we have to take every opportunity to appreciate what we have, especially here in America. So, yeah, I really think the military helped in that sense. And then to answer your question about pursuing filmmaking, I'm still learning. I'm still, you know, that leap of faith, I guess, that I'm taking at this moment doesn't come cheaply, as you would know if you've ever pursued filmmaking. So I still have to work for the man in a way, but I'm also pursuing this at 75%. So 75% compared to 0 last year at this time. So now it's more of a, okay, I'm gonna focus on this. I'm gonna get out there, start filming things, because that's all it is getting out there and filming, I think. And whether you make $1 or you make $1 million doing it, it's something that I think I love and I'm passionate about. So I'm here.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And
thank you for your service.
I didn't do much. I was Air Force, so.
You swore in, so you did enough.
Yeah, I swore in. Boy, I it's only supposed to be 4 years, but ended up being 20. But oh well. But thank you for your service.
We appreciate you for that.
Yeah, I mean, here's another question: being in the military, and also maybe in life, when was that moment in time in your life when it was like aha moment? It's like, holy moly, this stuff is real. When was that for you?
As far as military?
Just life in
general?
Or military, because I can tell you about my time in the military, but it's not about me, it's about you. But it's about, my gosh, this is some real stuff here. I mean, we're not playing around. This is life and death stuff. And this is financial stuff. This is my family stuff. This is like, I got to grow up. When was that time?
Right. So, kind of a funny story and then a sad story afterwards. Funny story is when my first bill lapsed when I was in the military, and I was like, oh my goodness, I can't ask my parents to pay for it. And so that kind of hit me in the face. But I think what really brought me to that point where it's like, oh snap, like this is real life stuff. This is, I'm an adult now, is after my dad passed away in 2010. So I was in Iraq in 2009. And then he got sick while I was still out there. Then I flew back home and he passed away 3 days after I got back home. So that was the moment for me where, life is precious for me. Like I thought my dad was gonna, and I'm sure with everybody who's lost a parent, my parents are gonna live forever. They're gonna be there for me the rest of my life. And so in a sense, he still is, he's still here, but that's when I realized that aha moment, like this is real life.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate the question though.
Now, I like that question because, in my opinion, everybody has it. Everybody's got to realize they're going to become an adult sometimes, but I think the military pushes you a little bit faster.
Yes.
To be an adult fast. And thank you for, like I said, keep saying thank you for your service, because it's only a small percentage of us ever don that uniform and to raise that hand to serve. So, and you graduated from UW. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else?
Yeah. Stephen?
Oh, I was just gonna open it up again.
Okay, I love this conversation. I will say thank you, Thomas and Jonathan, and I believe Mark Glenn is on here who has also served, and anybody else on this call who has served, thank you. You're right, Thomas. I think it's really important to call that out and recognize the impact that has had on people's ambitions and skill sets and everything about them as a person, their character, etc. And Jonathan, so I'm just going to ask you. So I learned for the first time in reading your bio that you had made this pivot. I haven't had a chance to Anna, so I'm actually really excited for you about this. I'm really excited. I want to my wheels are turning. Like, how can I help Jonathan connect him to the people that he needs to be connected to? I would ask you, I'm just curious. I did not know about your passion for filmmaking, and I just am wondering, when you think about that field and you think about the body of work that is within that field, whether it be documentary films or, you know, full movies, television, you know, what is it? What are your favorites? You know, what is it that you actually, I mean, do you want to start with the documentary? What is it that you love? And then what do you aspire to actually achieve? Short term and maybe long term too.
So short-term goal right now is to get more experience actually filmmaking and editing and doing sound and all that. It's really important. You know, people go to school for this, and I'm just trying to do this as a personal endeavor right now. And so I think you know, getting those skills down in the meantime will help my long-term goal, which is to I think documentary filmmaking is what I want to do. I think stories are powerful, and the like Mr. Cool Jam said, you know, we're more about transformational within ourselves, being transformational within ourselves. And I think storytelling in a documentary film would help transform somebody's ideas or thinking about certain subjects, or it'll open their eyes to something that they've never seen or heard before. And the documentary that I want to pursue first is the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls that are there. There's 57 that I know of in Washington, in Seattle alone. And so I think that would be, especially, I think that would be a great documentary to film, but also a story to tell, because we don't hear enough about the Indigenous people that unfortunately we're living on their lands and we don't know enough about them. So I think that would help me pursue that goal in filmmaking.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in, Leslie?
Yeah, of course.
So Jonathan, a couple things. I'm going to connect you to a gentleman with, he's a Native American, and we worked with him through a program that we developed called Student Assisting Businesses. It's called Sky Bear Media. And he is a Native American, and he has a media company in Olympia, like just phenomenal. And I will connect you with him, and we'll get you, just that way you connect with him and just understand how this whole thing works. And another one I'm going to connect you with, one of my favorite people in at UW. He moved back home to the East Coast. His name was Brandon Hoyt, and he was part of the Vibe. He started I helped him develop a organic chicken farm, very successful. And he decided, hey, I want to go back home, sold it all off and made some money and life. But anyway, while he was in the military, he was in the Air Force, I believe 10 years or so. He was a crew chief on F-15s. Then he became a combat photographer at Armed Forces News and became an anchorman.
Oh, wow.
For Armed Forces News. And he is working as a director for the Department of Justice, making film for them. So I will connect you. So what I want to do is perhaps we can discuss this offline, and maybe we can get a bottle of scotch and we can figure out how to do all this stuff. So okay.
That sounds good. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
I have a question for you, and what just happened kind of leads, it was what I was going to ask you about, is what resources did you use as when you were a student because I know that you were a first-gen student, you had all these identities, you were veteran, military connected, all of that. What resources do you feel that you took advantage of? Were there any resources that you felt later on that you did not take advantage of? And what resources today are you taking advantage of at UW as an alum?
Okay. Resources that I didn't take, I'll answer that first because that's the easy one. I wish I would have been more engaging within the university. I think I could have put myself out there more, you know, like with SAB or the Black Student Union or any of the other organizations that were within the school for students at the time. I wish I would have been more willing to engage in that at the time. But I think after I got back from Iraq, I was going through a phase within myself that it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't trying to pursue that, or I just failed to pursue that. PTSD is a real thing, and you know, I think I was kind of suffering that while I was attending school there at UW Tacoma. So I wish I would have engaged more within like the student unions or even some of the organizations that are on the campus. While I was a student, I was volunteering at Raymond Hall. I was volunteering with the probation officers there, and I was volunteering with the lawyer who worked at Raymond Hall also. So, you know, my time wasn't spent just, you know, feeling sorry for myself. I was actually doing that stuff. And then as an alumni, I think this is going to sound really cheesy, but Diana, my wife, is the one who actually opens a lot of doors for me to actually like see what I can do, what I can't do. And I'm Leslie and Shauna and whoever else knows my wife knows that she's a force to be reckoned with. And you deal with that for 8 hours a day. I deal with that 24 hours a day. So I know the kind of you know, to be honest, she was the one who kind of encouraged me to pursue school because it wasn't part of my plan. So she's the one that kind of, hey, go to school. It's going to be worth it. Just do it. You'll love it. And so that's why I'm a UW Tacoma graduate, because of her.
Shauna, did
Thank
you see the chat? Brianna put in the chat. She is an amazing force.
Force, yes.
Oh gosh, you just amazing, like capital AMAZING for sure.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your service again.
Thank you, Shauna.
Question coming in from Mark Glenn. I see a
Yes, sir. Hey, Jonathan. Thank you for your service as well, fellow Army brother. It's good to see you holding it down. It's always great to hear everyone share their story. So at the end of the day, it's important for you to continue to be a good role model like you are doing. I do have one question for you that before we let you escape. And I just think about way back when I served and I got out of the military, I really wanted to go to college. And, you know, one of the hardest things for me to do was to transition my mind to think about preparation and getting into the groove of going to school. So how did you, you know, after you got off active duty, what techniques did you use to kind of perfect the art of transitioning out of the military world, including all of the jargon and the acronyms that we throw around all the time, and transitioning to be a civilian, and not just any civilian, but a civilian who was prepared to go to college after going through and spending time in the desert. So I just want to hear about your perspective on that.
So, like I said, my Diana was a pretty big influence on me. But including herself, there was a couple more people that I really looked up to who I actually met through Diana when she was a student at UW Tacoma. I have a friend named Christopher Stannis and another friend named Du Carmel Francois. And both of those guys, they kind of kept me in line as far as having a plan when I transitioned out of the military. My friend Du Carmel, he told me, he said, the biggest thing about transitioning is having a plan. And so I took that to heart. I had a plan. So before I even got out of the military, I applied to Pierce College to go to community college there. And so I had to wait maybe a couple months before I started that. And then my friend Chris, he was the one always encouraging me to just do what I really what I wanted to do at the time. And he funny thing is now both of these guys, one of them, my friend Chris, he's a captain in the Army Reserve, and my friend, we call him Mel, but Du Carmel, he's a Secret Service agent. So both of those guys, they've been pretty big influences on my pursuits into my education and beyond that.
Excellent. Well, appreciate you sharing your story tonight with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your service. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to add to all of you, also Jonathan and Mr. Glenn, the vibe is always open to all of you. This is sometimes it's a refuge for some students. I know it is. And we're very blessed here at the University of Washington, Tacoma to have a center like what we have, the place to come in, sit, study, sleep, have coffee, all this is, support from the community. It isn't funded. I mean, we have to go out and get money for all this stuff. And we go out and, out in the military, we don't know how we got it, but we got it, right?
Right.
We got it. I don't know how we got the foosball table or the big screen TV and all that, but we got it.
That's right.
But anyway, it's more, if you want to talk business or take that entrepreneurship endeavor to the next level, I'm here to help. Mr. Glenn's always there, when we had our, chili bake-off contest or cooking contest, and I won second place, by the way, Jonathan. So. But anyways, open up to you. I'd love to see you up there more, be part of the community, and your leadership and your experience will bring a tremendous gift to the current students there at the veteran student at the center. So love to see you guys.
Thank you.
You too, Mr.
Thank
Glenn.
you.
You can't miss you, Mr. Glenn.
Well, thank you everyone for participating in our conversation here. I want to turn it back over to Shauna.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for doing this. We appreciated your transparency and authenticity and sharing everything that you shared. So I just want to tell everybody, you see the hearts and all the love in the background. So today is April the 8th, is Husky Giving Day, and we've been very busy. I just wanted to remind people and then also thank people because some people have already given. We have 24 hours to give on April 8th. So we still have it going on right now. So if you haven't had a chance to give, or at least give your story somehow, there's different ways to give. I'll put the link in the chat. However, when I put the link in the chat, what you will do is go to the site and then you'll have to scroll down and check your affiliation for UW Tacoma. Just make sure you do the right affiliation, and then all the information will open up to you. Once again, we do appreciate everyone. Our next alumni speaker series will be Thursday, May the 13th at 6 p.m. We'll be featuring Peterson Chum from the School of Nursing and Healthcare Leadership. And we also have our network for alumni and students, and there's community on there as well, Tacoma Husky Landing. So I'm just going to put a few links in here. Give me just a few minutes to do that. But I appreciate everybody for coming. I like seeing people, Alicia, Mark, all the people coming back to see who were their peers and students with them. So we appreciate you. Stay safe and thank you.